My full name is Salvatore Frank Comitino. I was born on First Street in Glen Cove in the St. Rocco area. I am 90 years old. So I begged the people to let me stay home, because I had two younger brothers. One had one hand, one eye, and the other guy, eventually he volunteered to go in the Marines, and he's the only brother I have left. He lives down the road. His name is Rocco. He was in Korea for 2.5 years. He was there quite a long time. And but he loved the Marines too. And but it was just unfortunate that the draft board in Glen Cove, they drafted everybody. No matter who you were, they drafted you. And so before you know, there was nobody left. We had a guy that walked a death march and pretend he lived next door to me. His name was Anthony Marangello. They named the street after him. And we had a few guys got killed in Patan before, the first part of the war. One name was DiGiovanni, and another guy got wounded pretty bad. His name was Phil Dillio. And but that was very sad when Corregidor and Bataan fell, because we weren't used to losing victories. So that was a very sad part of our lives in those days, very sad. Because they had the upper hand. They were already ready for battle. So and that was the story about that. But it was a sad day. How I knew there was a war going on, we were in a Cove Theater, and because you got the news late in those days, it was like today, instant. And well, we walked up the block, and I lived on First Street, and we walked into the house, and they had all these draft age guys in there, about 40 of them, including my brothers, because they were concerned. And we knew there was something wrong. And one of the guys called us outside because he thought we were too young to know, and he told us what happened. And we still didn't know what he meant. Who heard of Pearl Harbor? No one, So that's how we found out there was a war. I was drafted. I was 18 when I got drafted, but I already had 7 brothers in the war, and so they were all fighting. 2 got wounded. Actually, it was 3 that got wounded. And I had one brother left, and he had one hand. He blew it off when he was 7 years old. And that's why he was the only one they didn't touch. So I fought to stay in the States because I was the last breadwinner home. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. They drafted me anyway. 1945. 3 months later, the war was over. Well, it was rough. I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and that's where I did my basic training. And when I finished, I went to Fort Hood in Texas. And, did different chores, carpentry work and stuff like that on the base. And then we got transferred to Fort Sam Houston in Texas. Okay, and I stood there about 6 more months. And then they wanted a regular army, and you had to sign up. And I had to get home because of my mother, who was all alone. So I refused to sign up, so they told me I had to get out of the army. And that's when they discharged me. And I got discharged out of Camp Polk, Louisiana. And that was my experience with the military. But I always done stuff for the military. When guys came home from furlough, I would take them here and there with a car because they would give me their gas stamps. Okay, and we had gas stamps in those days. And just loved them all the time. They were all from my neighborhood. And a lot of guys got killed, a lot of guys got wounded. Guys 18 years old. Could I give you a name? His name was Sally Marafiori from the Orchard area. And the guy down on the monument that I take care of is one of the guys, 5 guys that got killed. His name was Mike Molinaro. And we all had nicknames, and his nickname was Jumbo. Okay, and he used to play the harmonica on my porch. And he told me when he got out of the military, he would teach me how to play the harmonica, which is my favorite instrument. But he never came. He was one of the first guys killed right after Pearl Harbor. He got killed in an airplane crash. And so we never saw Mikey again. And his brother, Charlie, he was in the Marines, and God, he saw so much action. Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal, and never was the same when he came home. We tried to make him happy and all that, but he never was the same. There was 5 brothers in the Navy called the Sullivan brothers. Okay, like we had twins here that went in the Army, and brothers. And what happened was they all got killed on the USS Juno. Okay, so from that point on, they separated everybody. No 4 brothers here or 2 brothers here. They separated them. We used to go to Glen Street Station, and they had the high school band there. Okay, and sometimes the train couldn't leave because the mothers held on to the train. There was screaming and fainting and every else thing going on, and it was, it was a sight to behold. And I never missed one of them. But the band played all patriotic songs, and it was just a wonderful send-off for the guys. Of course, a lot of women were wailing and all that kind of stuff, and because nobody ever left the block. Nobody went anywhere. Nobody had a car. It was just unfortunate that this is the first time these guys are going to be away. And it was a very sad day every time they left from the Glen Street Station. But they always had a beautiful send-off. But, just some of the mothers were really tough to let go, really tough. Italian ladies in those days, or anybody. In those days, everybody was so patriotic. So togetherness. Like for instance, if you got sick, some neighbor will bring you a bag of oranges, or sit with you, something like that. It was just unbelievable. I was afraid of height. They put me in the signal corps, and they told me to climb a pole, and I got about 2 feet up and I froze, and the sergeant chewed me out, but they made me a lineman after that. And I felt bad, but I'm afraid of height. So they understood right away. So they made a lineman out of me. So I enjoyed that. The guy on a pole I was bringing the line to, I enjoyed that very much. Had a lot of fun in the Army. For instance, we all used to go to the movies together. And if you didn't have any money, they shared the candy with you, and stuff like that. And we played baseball and football and touch tackle, that kind of stuff. And they were all from different areas of the country, and they were all super guys. I got along with all of them. And they were all real good guys. In my family, out of the 13, I was the last one to get married. And I met my wife they used to have a nightclub here called the Golden Slipper. And that's where I met her at the dinner. There was a dance there. And we went out about 4 years, and then I got married, and I moved on. We lived on Washington Street, that dead-end street. And, and then my mother got sick, and then she came to live with us. And I had 5 children, Sal, Ricky, Sandra in between, Ralphie, and Christopher. My wife's name is Elizabeth, maiden name, Noriega Comitino. And we've been together, go be 62 years in June. And, we always had a great life. All my kids were great, We have 9 grandkids. And they're all great grandkids, They come, they see me and stuff like that. And just sometimes they remind me of the old days because they're so well educated and saying hello and goodbye and stuff like that. And they love to come here. What I love about America is I think it's the greatest country in the world. You can do anything you want as long as you know, uh, legally, and it just, it's just a fantastic country, you know. Everybody, if you make friends easy here, and you never forget friends, and you do what you want to do. Like I like to take care of the monument because I know all those guys. One guy I know personally. The other four guys, I see them around Glen Cove. One of the guys, their body, he was in the Navy. But sometimes you meet a guy you haven't seen in years and years, and the guy's still your friend. My advice to young Americans today is join up, go in the Army, get the training. Now they have great education programs, and it's just, you travel, and it's just a wonderful experience.